Hey guys, my name is Chantel. Welcome back to my channel and thanks for hanging out with me today. So, today we're going to talk about episode 4 of Idolish7. I forgot what episode this is. 3. Yes, 3. Episode 3. Sorry, I'm just like thinking about it right now. I was like, wait. Anyway, so as usual, my video is just going to be basically me giving you guys my thoughts about this week's episode of Idolish7 while I do my makeup. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy and I will roll the rest of the video. So you guys, before we actually talk about this week's episode of Idolish7, I kind of want to tell you guys some news regarding the second season. And yeah, so just in case you guys aren't in the loop, they made an official announcement saying that the second season is unfortunately postponed due to the pandemic that's going around, you know, basically the pandemic that we're all going through currently in the world. It's, at least from what I'm seeing, it's now starting to affect I want to say mainly the spring season, just because I've been seeing like a lot of stuff that's supposed to like come out this April has been like delayed, and everyone's just trying to figure out things. Just so many things are being delayed. We first saw this with A3 with it being delayed, and that was that, but now I feel like we're starting to really see take effect now with the anime industry. Like slowly but surely it's definitely like catching up, and it sucks. But yeah, so episode 4 of Idolish7 will be coming this Sunday, but after episode 4, that's it. And they don't have a set date yet to see when it's gonna return. So as of right now, it's just kind of up in the air. They don't know exactly when the second season will make its return. I totally get why they're postponing it, because the safety and health of the entire staff matters more than us having a single episode every week for Idolish7. So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer, as I said, but what can you do? It's just, it's something that really can't be helped. So yeah, all we can do is just wait and see what happens and wait for Idolish7 to return, and you know, we'll be back to having some good times, hopefully soon. Anywho, besides that very sad news, let's just go ahead and talk about this week's episode. Yay! So this week's episode of Idolish7, oh my god. So before I tell you like everything that happens, let me tell you like what I thought was gonna happen this week's episode. Like, I know I touched about it briefly in my other video, but let me like tell you guys how I thought this episode was gonna go down. Okay, so basically, you know how in the first episode of Idolish7 we saw that Iori was the new center, right, for Idolish7. And when I saw that, I kind of already like had a feeling that it was basically going to be due to Riku's health because of his asthma. And sure enough, based on last week's episode, we saw that take effect, and it was really, really bad, to the point where the poor boy had to go to the hospital. And you know, now in this episode he had to like take a few days off and, you know, take care of himself. And basically this is where the whole, you know, Iori being the center comes in. But what I thought initially was going to happen, I thought this was actually going to be Iori's recommendation, because Iori is like always just on top of things, and he always helps Tsumugi. He's basically like her right-hand man when it comes to stuff with managing Idolish7. So I originally thought that it was gonna be Iori's suggestion, that he was gonna be like, hey, I'm concerned for Riku, why don't we, you know, make someone else the center? Who do you think is gonna be a good center to replace Riku for now? That's how I thought it was gonna be. But no, I was completely wrong. And what surprised me was that this was actually Tsumugi's suggestion, was to have Iori as the center. And she does talk to him alone, and she's like, hey, I've got some concerns about Riku. I don't know if he should continue on like this. Like, this isn't good for him. And you can just see how concerned she really is, and she's definitely put a lot of thought about it into, you know, having Riku step down as the center. And honestly, I thought Iori was gonna be super on board with it and be like, hey, you know, you're right, I see it too. No, he was actually not really thinking about it, like, from her perspective, and like thinking and stepping back and being like, okay, like, it takes him a little bit to really think about it and just be like, you know, you're right. He was a little bit stubborn in this episode, which I totally get, because he does say his reasons why he doesn't agree with it right away, because he feels like Riku is just such an important and essential part of Idolish7 that if he were to, you know, not be the center, like, he feels like the group would just like not be Idolish7. Like, if that, does that make sense? Like, it's really understandable where Iori is coming from, but at the same time I'm like, Iori, you saw everything that went down last time at the concert. Like, please. I was like, the whole time I was like, please, please, please listen to Tsumugi. Do it for Riku, do it for his health. And he just, like I said, I get it, because he does believe in Riku and he has so many expectations out of him. Like, he definitely genuinely believes that Riku can get out of this and come back better than ever, and, you know, he'll figure it out and things will be fine and dandy. Like, he really, really, like, believes in Riku a lot, and that's very, very sweet. But at the same time, it's kind of like, you have to face a little bit of reality right now, because if Riku goes on like this, and Tsumugi says this too in this episode, and I really, really appreciate that Tsumugi had a lot of more time to shine in this episode. It was very, very much appreciated. She pretty much kind of voices her concern to Banri, because after her talk with Iori, they just kind of leave it like that, like, okay, we'll just, you know, do what we always do. We'll see how things play out. Throughout that whole thing, you can tell Tsumugi is just really, really, really worried for Riku. She does say, you know, I want to support him and cheer him on and continue, but at the same time, I want him to step down and take care of himself and just really, really think about this. And, you know, it does make sense, because, like, oh my gosh, man, if something were to happen to Riku, like, that's it for Idolish7. So his health really, really needs to be taken care of. Like, he needs to take care of himself. And throughout this whole episode, it really hurt, because Riku just wants to be out there. He's like, don't worry, I'm gonna do better. Don't worry, I won't let this happen again. And he's just like constantly telling everyone that this won't happen again, that he can do it. And, you know, basically, like, the show must go on. But it's kind of like, your health, man. Like, think about your health and think about your fans. Your fans are really worried about you and why you didn't come out to the encore. And another thing that really, like, I was kind of like, oh my god, Iori, what are you doing? Was when he was basically covering up the whole situation of, you know, Riku having health issues. So when this happens, they have, like, this meeting with the guy who's in charge of, like, the whole thing with the Zero Arena, and he's like, you know, we would really love to have Idolish7 on board for the second day, and, you know, you guys are a little bit rough around the edges and stuff like that, but, you know, that's fine and dandy. And the guy does ask, they're like, you know, I was really curious as why your center wasn't, like, up with you guys. Like, what happened? Is he, like, sick or something? Like, is this, like, something that happens often? And you can definitely tell, you know, Tsumugi and Yamato are kind of like, oh man, like, what do we do? Like, how do we go about this? Like, they're thinking about it, and you can I feel like Tsumugi was gonna tell the truth and be like, you know, because at first she does say, you know, oh, like, yeah, he's sick, don't worry about it, you know, he just was feeling under the weather. But once he, like, the guy that they were talking to was like, does this happen often? Does he, like, have a condition or something? And she's struggling to find the right words, and this is when Iori comes in and he's like, no, he's fine. You know, this is just like a one-time thing. He'll be fine and back up better than ever next time. This won't happen again. And he's just like, oh, you know, I'm glad to hear that. And I was like, Iori, why did you do that? Why? I'm like, why are you hiding the fact that he is sick? Like, sooner or later, people are gonna find out, and I feel like it's gonna blow in everyone's faces. And like, I just feel like they should have been truthful about it, but at the same time I get it because they probably felt that if they said that, then they probably wouldn't have the opportunity to, you know, perform at the Zero Arena. And yeah, that's fine and dandy, but again, like, they need to think about Riku's health. Like, I get it, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, but I feel like there'll be more opportunities. Like, if one door closes, another one opens, you know? So it's like, I don't know, it's just, Iori, I love you, but like, what is happening? And once that meeting does happen, he does have like a little bit of like a one-on-one time with Yamato and Iori. Like, they both have like this really nice talk together, and Yamato's like, hey, like, what was that back there? And he's just kind of like questioning him and being like, you know, you really need to think about Riku's feelings and think about like everything seriously. And you know, like, Yuri does like tell him like how he feels and everything, and like I said, all of that's fine and dandy, Yuri, but like, I have mixed emotions, and I'm just like, Yuri, please, like, think about this. Think about this, man. And maybe I feel like this is just because, like I said, I am just so concerned for Riku. I want him to be okay, and I don't want him to, you know, perform to the point where he can't anymore. I don't want it to get to that point at all, because he's so, like Iori said, he's an essential part of Idolish7, and without him, they're not the group that they are now, and it's just, it sucks. And then after that, they're kind of pretty much okay at that point. They just kind of go about their normal lives. Riku is in his room, you know, just taking care of himself and, you know, getting himself better. And I love that the boys are all like contributing and like trying to help Riku get better and feel better. They're like, okay, what do you need? What can we do? Like, what did Tenn do when you would have your asthma attacks? Like, tell us what to do so we can be here for you. The poor boys are all just like really concerned, and they're constantly checking on Riku. And the thing that made me kind of sad was when Riku felt that he thought that Iori was mad at him because he wasn't able to perform out in the encore. And I'm like, no, sweet baby boy, no, that's not it. Like, that's just not him. And I don't know why he felt like Iori would be mad. I'm like, no, Iori understands like completely. Like, this is your health. Like, he's not gonna be mad. Which I thought that part was really interesting. I was like, huh, I wonder what made him think that Iori would be mad about something like that. Like, no, Iori is really understandable. Like, he'll understand. Like, he knows it's not Riku's fault. But speaking of being mad, you know who was mad about that? Tenn. Oh boy, Tenn. The way he went about this, I don't like. I get that Tenn, I don't know how I feel about Tenn, honestly. I always felt this way about Tenn. Like, he isn't my favorite just because he is more of a person, like, yes, he cares, but like the things that he say come out harsher than need to be. So that's why he isn't my favorite, just because, like, for me personally, I don't really like the characters that are really harsh like that. Maybe it's because I really don't understand Tenn and the way that he's thinking, but yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I just don't like the way that he went about it. Like, he ended up causing a asthma attack out of Riku because of how harsh he was. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is like the one thing that, you know, everybody, the members were really worried about back in season 1. That's why they had both Riku and Tenn not make contact, because they were afraid that this type of reaction would happen back in season 1, right? And now seeing it play in this season, I'm just like, why is it happening now? Why? Like I said, I don't know how I feel about Tenn, because Riku has like this other side where he sees his brother as like this big ol' softie, like he's the best brother ever, right? But then we see like this side where he's like super harsh towards his brother, and it's just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, but maybe that's just the way that he is. That's the way that he's reacting to this, because he's been with Riku his whole life, and he was the one that was there for him for these attacks. So I'm like, you know, it's a sticky situation overall. And this whole situation ends up causing a fight between Iori and Tenn, which I did not expect seeing. Like, I didn't see this coming. But the fact that these two were basically like butting heads, and they were basically like telling one another that, you know, hey, like basically Iori was like, hey, why are you being so mean? Like, that's your own brother. Like, what the fuck? Why are you like being this way? Like, can't you see, like, it's his health, like he can't help it? And then you have Tenn being like, well, that shouldn't be an excuse. He's a professional. He should be on the same level and be treated equally as everyone else if he's gonna be in this industry. And it's just, it causes like this whole mess, and I'm just like, oh my god, like what is happening? These two are about to like really throw hands at each other. Like, Iori was like about to snap, and I have never seen Iori this mad before. Like, boy, baby boy was pissed. Like, this whole fight got so bad to the point where Yamato had to hold down Iori, and then Ryo had to hold down Tenn, and they're pulling up apart, and you know, things are like calming down a little bit, and then fucking Tenn has to like, he has to like make that stupid noise. I hate that noise too, when like anyone makes that noise. Like, to me, after like an argument, like it gets me heated. So I understand Iori at that minute where he was just like, did you just do that right now? Like, Iori was like not having any of this bullshit right now. But I feel like these two got in a fight just because they do care so much about Riku. Like, at the end of the day, the reason this whole thing is happening is just because you know, in some way, shape, or form, they are concerned about Riku, and one and the other thinks that this way is the best to handle this situation. The other one thinks that this is the best way to go about it. So it's just like two different ideals kind of like clashing is like the best way that I can describe that. Because like I said, Tenn knows Riku better than anyone else because he grew up with him, and he's you know, he knows what his health is like. But at the same time, it's been so long. Idolish7 knows how Riku is and stuff like that, like the members of Idolish7. And you know, before like this whole fight started, Iori said, you know, you're basically an outsider. Why are you trying to butt into like our group situation right now? Like, this is none of your business. But at the same time, it's like, well, it kind of is Tenn's business because that's his brother, but it's just, it's a whole mess, man. And then our poor baby boy Riku is just kind of like sitting there and just like watching all of this happen, and he's just like, and he's feeling really bad because now people are fighting because of him, and he doesn't want any of this. But yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, I feel like they both care about Riku enough to the point where, like, you know, they're getting into fights. Man, like, I really did not expect these two to fight. Like, out of all the people, especially Iori, I did not expect him to get so heated. But that just goes to show you that he really does care for Riku, and he's really concerned. I just hope things end up for the better and they really think about Riku's feelings. But after this whole entire fiasco happens, Iori finally kind of basically comes to his senses and talks to Tsumugi, and he's just like, you know what, I accept your proposition. I'll be the center for Idolish7. He's like, you know, I thought about it and I really, you know, agree with you now. And you know, he apologized for being a little bit stubborn. He's just like, you know, it's just that I had so much faith in him, and I really want to believe that he'll make it out of this and be okay and everything will be fine. But the way that things are right now, like, this is what's happening. This is our reality. So now Iori is gonna be the center of Idolish7, and it's gonna be a different change, especially because Iori does say, he's like, I don't know how I could be the center. You know, you have like all these other people that can stand out and have like better points than me. I feel like I would just make the group plain and simple, and I'm just like, baby boy, no. But I do like that Tsumugi tells him, you know, no, like, that's not your only quality. And she tells him like why she believes that he would be a good center while, you know, Riku steps down for a bit. But yeah, I really like that. But it just goes to show you just how much Tsumugi cares for the boys and how observant she is. Like, she knows all of their qualities, and she knows when something's up with the boys. She notices it right away, and she like really cares for the boys, and she brings her own stuff to the table. She's not just like there just for the sake of being there. she has her part to do, and she's been doing it really well, and I'm really glad that, you know, she has her time to shine. Because they could have easily given these concerns to Iori and be like, hey, maybe he should, you know, I should be the center or something like that. But no, it was Tsumugi's suggestion. And I think it's really nice because you could, like I said, she's concerned and she just wants the best for Idolish7 at the end of the day. And you know, she is their manager, so of course she's gonna bring stuff to the table. She's, like I said, like, she's not just gonna be sitting there and looking pretty. She's definitely very, very much important. Like, Idolish7 would not be where they're at without her. Like, she definitely does help out the boys, you know? It's not just Iori that's always managing the boys, it's Tsumugi too. Like, she has her great ideas too, you know? Which, by the way, since we're on the topic of Tsumugi, wasn't it really cute when she had like her little braid? And it was cute because Gaku was the one that noticed her little braid, and I thought that was so adorable because I love those two together. Like, they're so cute together, man. And speaking of other things I like, just like little tidbits here and there, was basically that commercial. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm assuming it was a commercial that was with the members of Trigger, and I was not expecting to see that. So basically, like, the commercials that I'm talking about is when Riku is so embarrassed and acting like super shy and like, you know, weird with Tsumugi because she comes to go visit him in his room, right? And before then they're talking about like what Tenn used to do for Riku when he would have like his little asthma attacks and to make him feel better. And he was talking about how Tenn would but basically he would lie down on Tenn's stomach and that would help ease his asthma a little bit, like it would help him make him feel better. And he told this to Sogo and Tamaki, and Tamaki's like, hey, manager, you seem like you've got a soft stomach. Why don't you, you know, help our boy out? And obviously Riku is like, why? Like, why did you tell her that? Like, what are you doing? And poor baby boy is just like so flustered and embarrassed. And he's just like, oh, like, why don't we watch TV? Like, let's, you know, I feel like watching TV. And that's when we get these, like, pretty much sexy ass commercials of the boys of Trigger. And I'm like, what in the heck are these commercials? Like, what is going on? Because when he flips the channel, you see Ryu with, like, a girl. And he's on top of her and he's shirtless, and I'm like, hold up a second. Like I was like, let me pause here for a second, because like I need a moment to take that in. The next one is Gaku and he's with the girl too, and I'm just like, oh. And then it flips over and you see Tenn and it seems like it's gonna be like a sweet little chocolate commercial. Nope, it's not. And I'm like, what is happening with these commercials? And Riku's like, oh, let's not watch TV. And I was like, wait, Tenn, go back. I want to see more. I want to see where this is going. Anyways, I think that pretty much wraps up my overall thoughts for this week's episode of Idolish7. Next week, as I said, will probably be my last video for now, talking about the second season, because like I said, it's postponed for now, and I don't know when it's gonna come back, but when it comes back, I'll be back to talking about it once again. But other than that, you guys, I hope you guys are staying safe out there and are healthy and taking care of yourself. And yeah, that's it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!